This is my Odyssey, visiting the birthplaces of the U.S. presidents with pictures and fun facts. I'm Bob Henderson. The 40th President of the United States was Ronald Wilson Reagan. 2 terms, 1981 to 89. He was not born in California, although he spent much of his life there, first as a Hollywood actor and later the governor of California. His presidential library is in California at Simi Valley. And I visited this library in transition from one venue to another one weekday. And I was amazed at the overflow attendance at this beautiful site where sits a piece of the torn down Berlin Wall. Ronald Reagan was the only president born in Illinois. He was born above the bank building in tiny Tampico, Illinois, population 720. Tampico is in rural northwest Illinois, about an hour from the Mississippi River at the Iowa border. And fun fact, Ronald Reagan ran for president against the sitting president Jimmy Carter in 1980. I'd just been to the Carter birthplace a week before, and I found it really amazing that here were 2 men vying for the presidency, and both born in tiny towns of fewer than 1,000 people. Only in America, I guess. The 41st president was George Herbert Walker Bush. 1 term, 1989 to 93, had been Reagan's vice president. And contrary to popular opinion, Bush was not born in Texas. Bush 41, as he came to be known, was the second of 2 father-son tandems to become president. Bush was born in suburban Boston at 173 Adams Street in Milton, Massachusetts. The home still stands, but it's out of view. Bush spent most of his early life in Connecticut, where his son, the future president, was born. Now, Bush's maternal grandfather, George Herbert Walker, owned the estate at Walker Point in Kennebunkport, Maine, which would later become the summer White House for 12 summers. Fun fact, Bush 41's wife, Barbara, was born Barbara Pierce, and she was related to the family of the 14th president, Franklin Pierce. I'll never forget Bush's election in 1988. He had a press conference the next day, and the very first words out of his mouth were, "I'd like to thank Marty Van Buren," meaning that Bush was the first vice president since Van Buren 152 years earlier to be elected directly to the presidency, rather than assuming office due to the death or resignation of the president. The 42nd president was William Jefferson Blythe III. This was his name when he was born in Hope, Arkansas, the only president born in Arkansas. His father died before he was born, and the hospital where he was born no longer stands. He and his mother lived in Hope at 117 South Hervey before moving on to Hot Springs, Arkansas, where his mother married a man named Roger Clinton. And young William took this man's last name and became William Jefferson Clinton, or better known as Bill Clinton. He was a 2-term president, 1993 to 2001. And he would be the second of 3 presidents to be impeached, but he survived removal from office in a Senate vote very easily. The 43rd president was George Walker Bush. 2 terms, 2001 to 2009, not born in Texas, as many might think. Bush 43, as he came to be known, was born at the Yale University Hospital in New Haven, Connecticut. His father was finishing school at Yale. The family moved to a home on the Yale campus and lived there briefly after his birth. Fun facts, Bush 43 was the second of 2 father-son tandems to become president, hence Bush 43, his father Bush 41. And fun fact number 2, George Bush was a part owner and managing partner of the Texas Rangers baseball team before becoming governor of Texas. The 44th president was Barack Hussein Obama II, 2 terms, 2009 to 2017. Obama, the only president born in Hawaii. He was born in 1961, 2 years after Hawaii became the 50th state. Obama was born at the Kapiolani Medical Center for Women and Children at 1319 Punahou Street. It's the hospital where many children in Honolulu are born. It sits next to Highway 1, Hawaii 1, and it's at a busy 4-lane highway at the intersection of Punahou and Bingham Street. The hospital is named after the famous Queen Kapiolani, and by the way, In Hawaiian, Kapiolani means the Arch of Heaven. Fun fact number one, Obama was the first African-American president. His high school years were spent right up the street from the birthplace, maybe a 5-minute walk at the Punahou School. And fun fact number two, Obama launched his campaign for the presidency from the old state capitol in Springfield, Illinois, where Abraham Lincoln had been a legislator before becoming president. The 45th president was Donald John Trump. 2017 to 21, Trump was the fifth of 5 presidents born in New York State. He was born at Jamaica Hospital in Queens, and he lived his early life nearby at Wareham Place in Queens. Trump became the third of 3 presidents to be impeached, and the first to be impeached twice. He survived the vote in the Senate both times. The 46th president, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., been Obama's vice president for 2 terms. Biden is the second of 2 presidents born in Pennsylvania. He was born in Scranton, Pennsylvania, at Mary Keller Hospital, now Yeshiva Bet Moshe School at 930 Hickory Street. The family lived the first 10 years of his life in the Green Ridge neighborhood of Scranton at 2446 North Washington, before moving to Delaware, where he would later become a 6-term senator. And so this concludes my visits to the birthplaces of the U.S. presidents. My impressions after visiting the birthplaces are that many of these men were born in very ordinary circumstances, some in outright poverty, yet they managed to climb to the highest office in the country. Most were average, some were outright failures as president, and some would receive a grade of incomplete as they served 2 or fewer years due to death in office, either of natural causes or at the hands of an assassin's bullet. Some were scoundrels. Some had no business being president. Yet the republic survived. Keep that in mind the next time you lament the occupant of the White House. It's never been about the presidents. It's always been about the people of the U.S. going to work, raising their families, helping out in the community, and setting the ship of state right when it needs correction. Now, the question is, will the body politic continue to do their part in keeping the country strong and prosperous? Or, as Abraham Lincoln once said, quote, "If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher," end quote. Thank you for joining me on my Odyssey, visiting the birthplaces of the U.S. presidents. I'm Bob Henderson.